The elders say, when a poor man rises too fast, even his ancestors begin to watch him in silence. I thought their silence was approval. I thought they were in awe of my speed. I didn't realize they were holding their breath, waiting for the crash. My name is Kofi, and I was the best tailor in Lagos, though you would never have known it by looking at me. I sat hunched over my manual sewing machine in the Balogun market, sweat dripping from my forehead onto fabric that deserved better than my cramped wooden store. My stitches were perfect, each one a small prayer sewn into cloth, but my pockets remained stubbornly empty. People walked past me every day, their eyes sliding over my work as if I were invisible, drawn instead to the stores selling cheap imported clothes that would fall apart after 3 washes. In a city that worships noise, a quiet man starves. The rain came heavy that night, drumming on the tin roof of my store like impatient fingers. Most of the other vendors had packed up and gone home, but I stayed, walking by lamplight on a suit I knew no one would buy. That's when the old merchant appeared. He materialized from the rain like smoke, his border somehow dry despite the downpour. He didn't want a suit. He didn't want his trousers hemmed. Instead, he reached into the folds of his clothing and pulled out a spool of thread that shimmered like moonlight on oil, like something that shouldn't exist in the ordinary world. "This is the spider's thread," he said, his voice like dried leaves scraping across stone. "Whatever you sew with this will be irresistible to the eyes of men. You will be a king among tailors. But there is one rule, and only one: you must never sew for your own blood." I should have been afraid. I should have asked questions. Instead, I laughed, a bitter sound that surprised even me. I didn't have a family to sew for anyway, only Adana, my younger sister, and she was busy with her engineering studies at the university. Paid for with every kobo I could scrape together. What harm could there be in such a rule? I took the thread. The magic revealed itself immediately. The first suit I made with the spider's thread caused a scene in the market. A banker saw it on my display and bought it without asking the price, then commissioned 5 more. A musician saw him wearing it and tracked me down, begging for an entire wardrobe. Within weeks, politicians were sending their drivers to my store. Within months, I had moved from Balogun Market to a gleaming glassware boutique in Victoria Island. The success came so fast it felt like falling upward. I went from a wooden store to air-conditioned luxury. From a rusty bicycle to a black G-Wagon with leather seats that smelled like money. From eating EBA once a day to throwing away plates of jollof rice because I was too full. My Instagram had a blue checkmark. My name was in newspapers. Governors and oil barons wore my clothes to weddings and state functions. But success, I learned, is a kind of altitude sickness. The higher you climb, the thinner the air becomes, until you can barely remember how to breathe like ordinary people do. Adana came to my boutique on a Tuesday afternoon, 6 months after I'd taken the thread. She had her mother's smile, our mother's smile, and when she walked through my glass doors, that smile was bright enough to hurt. She wasn't there to ask for money. She wasn't there to beg for a car or an apartment or any of the things I'd been throwing at her to keep her at a distance. "Brother," she said, and the word carried all the years we'd survived together, all the nights we'd shared one plate of food, all the times I stayed up sewing so she could stay in school. "I'm graduating next month. I don't want anything expensive. I just want you to make me a dress. I want to wear your art on the most important day of my life." The spider's thread hung on its spool behind my desk, gleaming with that otherworldly shimmer. I looked at it. I looked at my sister, at the hope in her eyes, at the love that still somehow existed despite the stranger I'd become. I told her no. I told her I was too busy, too important, too sought after to make a simple graduation dress. I gave her my credit card and told her to buy something from Paris, from Milan, from anywhere in the world. The card had no limit. She threw it on my Italian marble floor. The plastic skittered across the stone like an accusation. "You've become too big for your own blood," she said, tears cutting tracks down her cheeks. "Your success has made you a stranger. I don't want your money, Kofi. I wanted my brother." The door closed behind her with a soft click that sounded like a bone breaking. That night, I sat alone in my studio with a bottle of whiskey that cost more than my old sewing machine. The guilt wrapped around my chest like wire, tightening with each breath. I thought about Adana's face. I thought about how she used to bring me water when I worked late, how she used to tell her friends her brother was the best tailor in Nigeria, back when no one else believed it. Surely the old merchant had been lying, I told myself. Surely one dress wouldn't hurt. I was powerful now. I made the rules. I selected the most beautiful fabric I owned, a deep blue silk that seemed to hold the ocean and the sky at once. I threaded the needle with the spider's thread and began to sew. My hands moved with practiced grace, creating what I knew would be my masterpiece. For Adana. For the girl who had believed in me when I was nobody. As I tied the final knot, something went wrong. The thread didn't cut. It pulled, not at the fabric, but at me. My vision blurred like someone had smeared oil across my eyes. I blinked, rubbed my face, blinked again. The vibrant blue of the silk was draining away, replaced by shades of gray. I looked at my hands, at the gold Rolex on my wrist, at the colorful paintings on my studio walls. Everything was turning to ash and shadow. The gold became gray. The paintings became ghosts. The blue sky outside my window became the color of smoke and forgetting. I had broken the covenant, and the spirit had taken its payment. Not my wealth. Not my fame. Not even my skill. It took the only thing that had ever made me a tailor, my ability to see color, to see beauty, to see the difference between ordinary cloth and magic. I am still the richest tailor in Lagos. Senators still wear my suits. Celebrities still beg for my designs. My boutique gleams on Victoria Island like a temple to success. But I live in a world of grey now, creating beauty I cannot see, surrounded by colors that no longer exist for me. And Adana. She wore a dress from Paris to her graduation. In the photographs, everyone says it was beautiful. But I wouldn't know. Like everything else in my world, it's just another shade of grey. Be careful what you trade for success. If you rise so high that you cannot serve your own family, you have not risen at all. You have only floated away, untethered, into a colorless sky where nothing you touch can ever satisfy the hunger that drove you upward in the first place. The elders were right to hold their breath. They knew what I refused to see, that some crashes are so complete, you survive them only to discover you've lost everything that made survival worthwhile.